Hello everyone and welcome to our educational session. This is part 5 of multi-part series and the topic of this multi-part series presentation is signaling high status, alternative and distinctive ways to do this. We did go over 5 different traits, and currently in this presentation we are going to the last 6th trait, which is distance in terms of pace of life. There was a Latin word called otium, which was signifying freedom from work and leisure time. Dedicated to rest, conviviality, and intellectual endeavors, which was a dear activity to wealthy patricians in the ancient Rome. Consistent with this idealization of ostentation from work, centuries later, in his theory of leisure class, a writer and researcher called Veblen proposed that conspicuous abstention from labor becomes the conventional mark of superior pecuniary achievement, whereas labor is a mark of poverty and subjection, inconsistent with reputable standing in a community. In line with this portrayal and undesirable aura sounding work, there was a countess called Violet Crowley in the series Downton Abbey. She asks with curious tone, "What is a weekend?" A British countess in the early 1900s was too aristocratic even to recognize the concept of a work week divided by work and leisure. Over the course of the past decades, however, a shift has occurred in how the elites allocate time between work and leisure, and how they choose to spend their discretionary free time. The meaning attached to observing different lifestyles, for example, conspicuous spending of time, has also evolved accordingly. While in the past conspicuous abstention from work and leisure conveyed prestige, today an overworked lifestyle and products that showcase one's level of busyness have become status symbols and badges of honor. In the United States, for example, a common adjective used to praise the modern rock star chief executive officer is workaholic. Similarly, while in the past slow and idle pace of life characterized the free time of the upper strata, today a hectic agenda filled with productive endeavors and edifying activities is the most aspirational lifestyle of the so-called harried leisure class. Today the elites are busy at work, and their leisure time is active, not passive or sedentary, often using physical or mental energy to pursue wellness, health, and personal development. At leisure, apparel, for example, expensive leggings, sweatshirts, and sneakers, time-saving devices and services, and other products that enable multitasking. For example, a walking workstation are the ultimate symbols of the new dynamic elites who do not have a minute to lose. So what are the definitions and foundations? Distance in terms of pace of life, and this dimension refers to the difference in rhythm of activities on the slow versus fast continuum, and it has been measured and manipulated, for example, throughout the number of events in a period, or the extent to which one's brands and possessions speak to a busy versus leisurely lifestyle. To explain the shift on the continuum and the related changes in status attribution, some researchers have argued that an accelerated lifestyle and busyness at work have come to operate as an alternative type of conspicuous consumption that shifts the focus from the preciousness and scarcity of goods to the preciousness and scarcity of individuals. In knowledge-based economies, having no time means possessing desired human capital characteristics, for example, competence, ambitions, and etc., and being in high demands in the job market. As some economists put it, we have become walking resumes. The accelerated pace of life and resume building mindset have leaked into how people manage and leverage, not just spend their leisure time. Holidays are no longer a time to relax, but an occasion to build one's experiential resume and cross off items from ambitious to-do lists of activities. In some analysis of hurried leisure class, some researchers observed that as productivity develops in an economy, so most output consumption. However, as consumption takes time, if leisure times does not increase correspondingly, the pace of life of the work-rich but time-poor consumers must increase instead. Further contributing to this general hastening the pace of life, instead of allowing new technology products to free up time and streamline their lives, people have used this advancement to compress more work, travel, and activities into the same allotted time span. So what are the benefits of this trait? Adopting an accelerated and busy lifestyle increases individuals' sense of self-importance by making them feel that their time is valuable and then they themselves are scarce and in demand. Furthermore, by collecting diverse experiences and edifying activities, consumers obtain a sense of accomplishment and progress, increasing the appeal of their professional background and address psychological needs such as purity and moral superiority. traditionally satisfied by religion. Lastly, the public use of products and brands associated with an overworked lifestyle, for example, multitasking, Bluetooth headsets, time savings grocery brands, and etc., conveys status in the eyes of others. But what are the costs of this trade? In advanced economies, being in demand on the job market and collecting many diverse experiences typically requires years of education, expensive diploma at top institutions, and other learned soft skills. For example, language proficiency, knowing how to travel independently and smartly, and etc. Indeed, the rich are increasingly cementing their competitive advantage by investing in their offspring's intellectual cultivation from a young age, giving them a head start in life. During the last 25 years, the cost of an undergraduate degree alone in the United States have increased nearly 8 times faster than the wages. Moreover, burnout and threats to mental health from exhaustion are potential costs associated with workaholic pace of life as well. Finally, the type of active leisure that keeps the upper class and strata busy during their free time, for example, boutique yoga classes, Equinox memberships, and etc., and the goods surrounding those activities, for example, Lululemon gear, Coop creams, cold pressing juices are far from affordable. So what are the extensions and what is the reversal? Some scholars have recently noted that the pace of life have become so fast and accelerated for everyone that actively seeking out oases of deceleration where one can choose to be time rich rather than time poor is possibly re-emerging as a signal of distinction. Since the outbreak of the novel coronavirus and COVID-19 pandemic, many professionals, especially younger ones, are also looking for deceleration at work, questioning the pre-pandemic workaholic lifestyles and carving more leisure time for themselves. Along the same lines, in recent trends duped the Great Resignation and the leisure renaissance, Generation Zers are bragging about quitting their jobs on social media rather than celebrating promotions. These emerging preferences for slowing down and working less may be the beginning of the reversal on this dimension of pace of life. That is, a change in the direction for this dimension may occur with progressive returns to praising slowness, though in slightly different forms. Note that a reversal on a specific dimension is not inconsistent with the long-term evolution of signals and trends. However, this reversal happens rarely cycles. Research could empirically test this notion by directly building on prior work on business and long hours of work. For example, an analysis of holiday letters indicated that the frequency of phrases such as way too fast, on the run, and crazy schedule dramatically increased since 1960s. Emulating this approach, future research could track the frequency of references and mentions of busy versus leisure lifestyles over the following years on today's social media and check whether the relative occurrence of the two is shifting. Similarly, a few years or a decade research could test whether busyness and long hours of work, which served as status symbol in 2017, still hold, or whether a reversal has occurred. And with this said, I'm ending going over these 6 different traits, and we will be doing a little of a general discussion. In the past decades, as classic conspicuous consumption and conventional luxury goods have progressively lost their edge as means of status signaling, various alternative signals of status such as inconspicuous consumption, ugly luxury, and vintage have emerged, providing a high-level perspective on this and additional alternative signals of status. Thus, research established a unifying framework based on the ocean of distance from traditional signals along the continuum of 6 focal dimensions. The first one is time, the second quantity, the third one is conspicuousness, the fourth one is aesthetics, the fifth one is culture, and the last one is space of life, which we did discuss today. This framework sets the stage for future work examining additional theoretical aspects and empirical questions related to alternative signals in the framework itself. So what is the optimal distance? Conceptualizing signals on the continuum of different dimensions implies that there are various points along those spectra. Thus, an important question is whether there is an optimal distance point from traditional signals to the emerging and new signals on the continuum. Is farther away always preferable in terms or there is a limit? Some work on uniqueness suggests that manifestations of deviance from the norm vary in their level of disruptiveness from mildly original options, for example, creative choice nonconformity, to options that strongly violate the norms of proper conduct, like, for example, unpopular choice nonconformity. This life type of deviance risks social disapproval and thus may not operate as an alternative status market. Similarly, research on coolness and appropriate autonomy suggests that non-conforming behaviors vary from fairly familiar to the norm to radically different. Nonconformity is deemed cool and appropriately autonomous when the deviance from the norm is not too extreme or drastic. Some researchers argue that styles and trends, like for example hemlines, cannot indefinitely extend in one dimension because otherwise they will violate social mores and become offensive. Accordingly, alternative signals may lie within a range of acceptable distance from traditional signals, such as distance within the range is optimal, but beyond that range, signals may be too distant because they violate norms of suitable demeanor. Building on work of coolness and nonconformity, future research could test this idea by selecting a sample of alternative status symbols with varying level of diverging from traditional luxury products and styles and examining corresponding attributions of status and coolness. So what about longevity? With time, the specific alternative signals that caught on at a certain moment will inevitably trickle down and possibly lose the unconventionality that sets them apart at the start. In many social contexts, behaviors that were originally deemed radical and non-conforming, for example, getting body piercings or tattoos, wearing ripped jeans, and etc., are now deemed ordinary. Thus, an important question pertains to how many people need to adopt a particular alternative signal before it loses its signaling value in the eyes of early adopters. More specifically, it's a matter of number, thus establishing a specific diffusion threshold. Like for example, after a specific signal reaches certain penetration in the population, or a matter of identity, thus recognizing who adopts the alternative signal. Like for example, after a specific signal is adopted by some type of consumers. Given that distinction entails separation from undesired, not just neutral outgroups, high status adopters may regard a given alternative signal as compromised as soon as it spreads among a segment of consumers from whom they want to dissociate. So what are the characteristics? Another question worthy of future research is whether certain alternative signals have some systematic characteristic that make them more likely than others to be adopted by high status groups in a specific context. All else being equal, alternative signals consistent with a particular culture dominance value are more likely to emerge than signals inconsistent with such value. For example, inconspicuous consumption is more likely to thrive in France, where non-ostentation in and understatement are highly valued. Then in Italy, where trendiness and visibility are cherished. Similarly, in the United States, driving a Tesla or riding a bicycle is more likely to signal status in a state that sustainability in a state that values sustainability and green initiatives than elsewhere. In line with these predictions, familiarity with the environment and its systems of values is also critical in verifying and correctly understanding alternative status symbols. So what are the interactions between the dimensions? The proposed framework outlines 6 different dimensions of distance individually. However, it is possible to envision overlap and interaction between dimensions. For example, some prior research shows that different forms of distance, social and temporal, are interchangeable to some extent and may even interact as consumers evaluate products. In the context of alternative signals of status, for example, high-end brands such as Moschino and Balenciaga have released ready-to-wear collections and products inspired by garbage that are both tied to trash culture and ugly. Like, for example, distance in terms of culture and aesthetics. Tesla cars are green, like, for example, distance in terms of quantity, and subtly branded on the streets, like, for example, traits of distance in terms of conspicuousness. Similarly, consumers' minimalism refers to the mindful acquisition and ownership of few curated possessions with a preference for a sparse aesthetic, and thus may involve distance in terms of high quantity and conspicuousness. Future research could systematically examine the interplay between the different dimensions of this framework. Do certain dimensions tend to overlap more than others? The answer depends on the nature of the costs connected with the alternative signals. When the nature of the cost is similar, the dimensions will overlap more often than when the costs are different. In the cases noted previously, distance in terms of culture and aesthetics involve misidentification risks, and distance in terms of quantity and conspicuousness involves the opportunity costs of not actually signaling. So can we expand the framework? While the framework captures many new alternative signals of status along these 6 different dimensions of distance, other potential aspects of status signaling and other dimensions emerged, such as moral morality, for example, distance on the immoral versus moral continuum. The other one is gender expression, distance on the binary fluid versus defined gender continuum. And space, for example, distance in terms of far versus close continuum. Evidence for these signals in the data was not as substantial currently as for other dimensions. However, some of these additional dimensions may gain more prominence in the near future. So what are the potential limitations in analyzing status signaling dynamics? This presentation, this multi-part presentation embraces decidedly Western-centric perspective. While this could be a potential limitation, it generates the opportunity to examine whether the framework and the 6 dimensions of distance apply more broadly. An influential stream of literature has analyzed existing status signaling theories at the global level and across different dimensions and environments. For example, global trickle-down model, luxury consumptions in emerging economies. Second thing we have to note is while the proposed framework unpacks the general characteristic of alternative signals that are likely to emerge, another potential limitation is that it does not predict which specific instantiation will gain popularity next among the top strata. In other words, the framework may not predict that, for example, regenerated nylon will follow recycled plastic in sustainable luxury products, or that street style will follow punk in expiring haute couture designers. But it provides insight into the characteristics of these new alternative signals. In terms of distance from traditional signals along the dimensions of quantity and culture. Lastly, this research adopts a consumer-centric focus and does not delve into managerial implications and prescriptions as deeply. In conclusion, these presentations and framework based on the notion of distance from mainstream signals along 6 dimensions established a unifying perspective on alternative status signals and broadens our understanding of how status symbols evolve in contemporary market. And with this said, I'm ending this presentation and I'm ending this multi-part group of presentations as well. With this said, I like to mention that my name is Paul Arsov. I'm the founder of the Decentralized Web Project, and recently we did release a marketplace and collection of NFTs based on 3-dimensional objects. With these 3-dimensional objects, there has to be some special engine which loads and displays these 3-dimensional objects, and we did design our own 3D software engine instead of using standard game engines such as a game engine called Unity or another game engine called Unreal. But we have our own game engine, which what it does is it reads the file of the 3D object, it loads the file on a computer, then it opens a window on a computer screen, and it displays this 3D NFT object, and then it starts animating in a way of moving it in a random fashion around the window it did open. In addition to reading the file, loading, opening a window, and displaying and animating the 3D NFT, our 3D software engine has multiple additional capabilities. The first additional capability is the capability of speaking. Our 3D NFTs can speak in one of 3 different voices. The 3D NFTs can speak either in male voice or in a female voice or in a whisper kind of a voice. In addition to the 3 basic voices, there are 3 different flavors of these voices. Like, for example, a voice can be spoken in a normal speed manner, or it can be spoken in a fast speed manner, or in a slow speed manner. And if we have, for example, a male voice and it is spoken in a slow speed manner, then this voice can come as the voice of a masculine person or the voice of an old person. If we take, on the other hand, a female voice and it is spoken in a fast-speed manner, then this voice can come as the voice of a funny person or the voice of a little girl. The next second additional capability brought by our 3D software engine is the capability of voice recognition. If we have a 3D NFT which is animated and moving in a random fashion around the window, we can then issue our very first voice command to this 3D NFT to stop moving. And then the 3D NFT is going to stand still and stop moving. We can issue following voice commands to the 3D NFTs to move left, move right, move up, move down, zoom in, zoom out, rotate. And then the 3D NFT is going to fulfill each one of these separate voice commands and move left, then move right, move up, then move down, come closer, zoom in, go further away, zoom out, and then start rotating. The next additional and important capability of our 3D NFTs is the capability of them having basic artificial intelligence. Wow, really wow. You can ask the 3D NFT, what is your name? And then the 3D NFT is going to reply with their name. You can ask the 3D NFT, who are you? And then the 3D NFT is going to reply in few sentences of who they are. You can ask the 3D NFT to describe something. For example, describe Web3, or describe decentralization, or describe Russia. And then the 3D NFT is going to describe in few sentences about Web3 or decentralization or the country called Russia. The next and last but not least important capability is the capability of us seeing the 3D NFTs in real 3 dimensions. Currently, we have a version of the 3D NFT which is displayed on a flat two-dimensional computer screen, and we are using our imagination to imagine the 3D NFT in 3 dimensions. But we are going to be having a second version of this 3D NFT, and it is going to be displayed in a way of stereoscopics. What stereoscopics means is that part of the 3D NFT is going to be displayed in red or reddish colors, and another part of the 3D NFT is going to be displayed in blue or bluish colors. Then you, the user, can come to our 3D NFT marketplace, and probably this is the time of me to tell you the name and the URL of our 3D NFT marketplace. It is 3dnft.decentralizedweb.org. 3D NFT is typed in a way of the number 3 followed by the letter D followed by 3 other letters NFT, and it is all together 3D NFT. Then there is dot, then there are 2 words, decentralized and web, and they're typed all together, decentralized web. Then there is dot and it ends with org. On the top of our 3D NFT marketplace, you're going to see some links, and one of these links is a link to accessories. If you click on this link, you're going to see that we are offering special glasses. You can order 1 pair of these glasses, and when you receive these glasses, you're going to see that one lens of these glasses is red and the other lens of these glasses is blue. Then you can put these glasses on. You can request displaying of the 3D NFT in a way of stereoscopics, and then you're going to see the 3D NFT as coming out of the flat two-dimensional computer screen, and you're going to see it in real 3 dimensions. With this said, I would end talking about our 3D NFTs, about our 3D NFT software engine and their capabilities, and tell you a little bit about our marketplace. In our marketplace, we have our own blockchain instance. This blockchain instance runs Ethereum software, and this blockchain instance, our own blockchain instance, allows us to skip asking users to pay gas fees for deployment of the smart contracts for the non-fungible tokens, and pay fees for transactions of transfers of ownership from one user to another user. In this way, we are detaching the non-fungible tokens from a popular blockchain, and we allow our users to buy and receive proceedings from sale from our 3D NFTs in multiple crypto coins. Currently, the choice of crypto coins for buying and selling includes 4 different coins, and it includes Solana Sol, Polygon Matic, Avalanche Avax, and Qcoin, which is a big centralized crypto exchange. It includes a coin called KCS. In addition to buying and receiving proceedings from sale in crypto, we have a second parallel and independent way of buying and selling of our 3D NFTs, and it is done entirely in fiat currency. If you, for example, are a user who comes to our 3D NFT marketplace, you're browsing through the 3D NFTs, you click on one that you like, and then you decide to buy this 3D NFT. You're going to be presented with a choice of choosing between 4 crypto coins and fifth choice of buying with fiat currency. If you click on this choice, then you're going to be prompted to put the number of your debit or credit card and complete the payment. What happens then is there's going to be transaction and conversion from your national fiat currency to US dollars, and this payment is going to be deposited in our bank account. Then we're going to follow this with an action of transfer of the initial ownership of 3D NFTs from the marketplace to you, and you are becoming the first owner of this 3D NFT. So let's say there's a second user who comes to the 3D NFT marketplace, and you, the first user of this 3D NFT, after playing for a certain time, you decide to put this 3D NFT for sale. You decide on the price you're going to put for sale of these 3D NFTs, and then let's say the second user, after browsing through our marketplace, sees this specific 3D NFT which was put for sale. He decides to buy this 3D NFT, and he chooses to pay with fiat currency as well. So what happens then is there's going to be a conversion of the payment received from the debit or credit card of the second user, and there's going to be a conversion from the national fiat currency of the second user, which could be different than the national fiat currency of the first user, and different than US dollars, and there's going to be a transfer and deposit in our bank account in US dollars. We are going to follow this action with a transaction and a transfer of ownership from you, the first user, to the second user, and now the second user becomes owner of this 3D NFT. Then we're going to follow this with a third action and a transfer of from our bank account, conversion from US dollars to the national fiat currency of you, the first user and now former owner of this 3D NFT, and this converted amount in your national fiat currency is going to be deposited in your bank account. With this said, I am ending this introduction of our 3D NFT marketplace and talking about our project. Thank you for coming, thank you for viewing, have a nice day, have a nice evening, and goodbye.